All right, and last but not least, WW84 boy. At
Yep.
long last.
Yeah.
So in my case, I imagine seeing it with you, Ricardo. I sat home, I watched it.
Yeah.
Dogs were barking, but shockingly, the street was dead by me. So, the fear that I had that taxis would come blasting music or my neighbors would be blasting music. None of that happened. It was pretty much dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I bit the bullet. Sat home, had my little, had my little piece of rice. They sat down, watched the show.
Right.
And the beauty about it is that I got, I got access to a really clean copy. They call it the IMAX version, even though it's just the intro that was in IMAX. That format. Everything else was just normal 69, which made no sense, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, checked it out, and anyway. So
Um.
Ricardo,
All right.
what is Wonder Woman 1984 about?
All right. Well, Wonder Woman is in the year 1984, and she basically kind of just living out her life. We see her having to take care of some, crime shenanigans, and what that leads to is a bunch of like illegal like artifacts. So what they did was the FBI collected all the artifacts, and well, remember Wonder Woman works as in a museum in Washington D.C. and she meets Barbara Minerva, who was a gemologist and another like chemist and a bunch of I forget what she's doing. She's PhD in multiple things,
Yeah.
and basically they find a bunch of a bunch of items, but they find this one item that doesn't seem to do anything, and they thought it was like some kind of fake, and they make a joke about it. Make a joke of it making wishes. So somebody make a joke about it making wishes. Another character, Wonder Woman, made a wish as well, and then they found out that it actually works. And when Wonder Woman researches about this thing, is that it's a real item and it's very dangerous. But by then, a person called Mark Slot, played by Pedro Pascal, gets it, and he apparently was looking for it the entire time, and he gets power over it, and so on and so forth. That's it. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
really how to get into what the wishes
Well,
cause and
well,
what happens.
you forgot. Well, yeah, we have to mention one of the wishes, right?
Right.
Um, I guess we have to kind of spoil this one. This would
A little bit,
be
yeah.
why Steve Trevor returns, right? Yeah.
Right, right. So basically the item, well known as the Dreamstone, is basically a monkey's paw, right? What they call a monkey's paw, which is you get a wish, but it have a horrible downside to it. Or some seriously dangerous price that you probably won't want to give up, or any emotionally and psychologically healthy person won't want to you know, deal with.
Oh, by the
And
way, folks, in case you're wondering why you're hearing noise in the background, that's because Ricardo is kind of ducking his annual Boxing Day, family get together to talk about superhero movies, right?
yep, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
we've done it before. We've done it before. But anyway, go on. Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much what going on. It doesn't do much with the material as is, but that is what it does as it is. It just builds from this narrative, and it just says, well, you shouldn't just ask for anything you want, or even if things are life not fair, you shouldn't take shortcuts. The film starts with that. It starts with Diana trying to cheat at a race, and she's punished for it. That's the kind of the idea. Don't take shortcuts, and don't, even though your life treat you fair, you shouldn't treat the world unfair. That's it. No more to say other than we had to get to spoiler territory. So before I start, if Wonder Woman 1 was Donna, this is Lester, if you understand that reference.
You're right.
Uh,
You is right. You is
yeah,
right.
the tone rough. The tone was really light. It's up to you if you like the tone like being light. I don't have an issue with that. Problem is that it kind of little incoherent at times. The plot just all over the place. I didn't hate this film. It's not like the worst thing ever. It's not like it's not Iron Man 2 for me or anything like that, but it's still pretty bad as it is. So that's pretty much me on that. Um, Nothing else is it. I mean, it's just that's
Well,
it.
nothing else as yet. Before we started
Yeah.
really dive in though. So all right. So with me, boy, I had my expectations somewhat low. Not because of the drama surrounding well right now with Warner and HBO
Right.
Max and
Right. Right.
all that stuff, right? Just because of the long wait there. That at first even before going into this, one question was in my I had in the back of my mind was it worth or is it worth seeing on the big screen? And my
Right.
answer to that is both yes and no.
Right.
Yes, in terms of how big and grandiose, and just larger life the visuals are. But to me personally, not enough of that though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just personally, boy. And this is just me going off of this being a sequel to Wonder freaking Woman Dread. So I'm there like, all right, well, bigger, right? We're going bigger. But as you know before, with many Hollywood sequels, bigger doesn't always mean better, Dread. And that's the unfortunate thing with this movie here. As much as I liked certain things about it, which I'll get into, I was kind of let down by this one, just mainly because I
Right.
felt that it could have been way better than what we got.
Right.
So just to get the great out of the way, Gal Gadot, she still shines as Wonder Woman. She still
Right.
has the look down. She still has the personality down. You do believe her as Wonder Woman, right? She's so incredibly convincing that she just like owns every scene that she's in, right? Even when she's not, when she's Diana Prince, right? She rocks that performance, right? You could tell that Patty Jenkins really chose her well, though. She was great.
Right.
Also, to a certain extent, the Hans Zimmer score, right? Like, personally, like I was expecting them to go back to the original score that this guy, I forgot his name, Gregson Williams did, right? Which is
Right.
ironic because he's going off of what Hans Zimmer did off of the BVS soundtrack, right?
Right.
Basically
Right.
taking the Wonder Woman theme and just expanding that, right? But here, I felt like the theme song that has designed specifically for this song, for this movie, yeah, just blew me away. Though. And when it was using the opening sequence, that's where you saw, where Diana learns the lesson that you mentioned earlier. Yeah, I was just gripped. Though that score is so triumphant. It just remind me a lot of like Man of Steel, that kind of music that just has you happy, like
Right.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
They're just so happy there. It does go a little dark at times and generic at times, even with its 80s aesthetic that, it will do a
Right.
little throwback to 80s and sometimes sounds corny and whatnot, but a majority, for the most part, yeah, Hans did his thing here, man. I felt that the supported actors were decent, I would say. Um, Chris Pine, well, he still has that magnetic charm that he had for the first movie. You could tell that, yeah, he is just in not just in love, but in awe of Wonder Woman herself. You know what I mean? And it was cool to see the two of them together, even though the circumstances kind of like really. But we get to that in a bit, right? I thought that Pedro Pascal was actually pretty decent as Maxwell Lord as well. At first, he kind of came off as the cookie cutter
Right.
businessman who turns into this
Yeah. I
megalomaniac.
thought.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
What I thought with him is I thought they would have. Guess he would have just been the Trump insert character. Like, oh,
Yeah. But I like the fact that they add a little depth to his character. Even right now, to having his kid, be the average Chinese American, because it's the 80s, right? This is what we're going for. Sorry,
that's the
Asian
thing.
American. Sorry.
I really thought they would have like show the mother. We didn't get to see what the mother looks like, as far as I know,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
thought that
thought they
was
would have
great.
done something with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was glad to see both Robin Wright and Connie Nielsen show up again. Kristen Wiig was good as Barbara, right? You know what I mean? Well, I'll explain what I mean, right? So you know what I mean when she is playing, if you've seen stuff like Batman Returns, you know what I mean, the Selena Kyle character when they're all nerdy and it's like, oh, nobody takes me on, nobody cares about me, people treat me like shit, blah, right? And then something happens, and then the joke is once they lose their glasses or they take them off, oh, they're hot, they're sexy now. It's like, oh, wow, who's this, right? Yeah, so
Right. Right.
she plays that very well. I really dug the early moments between her and Gal's character. There. You could tell, yeah, Barbara kind of want to be like that, all right? And who could blame her, right?
Right.
could blame her, right? So you see that early on. It's just that she takes that whole vanity thing way too far when she
Right.
becomes a little bit more twisted because of what it is she desires. Because basically she wants to be like Diana, and then as a result she takes her powers. Well, sorry, she has powers of her own, right? And I also dug the whole monkey's paw aspect of it, where
Yeah.
yes, spoiler alert, Diana wishes for Steve to return, and Steve
Right.
returns in the body of someone else, which kind of didn't make any sense for me.
Well, that's thing. That was the whole point of it. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so
I was
the
like,
old
all
monkey.
right, but
It's
like it's a wish, right? It's a
the right
wish.
thing. It's one of
Wish
those
shit for
things.
this, right? But
Yeah, it's one of those things that you
you
could
know,
get away. Yeah, no, it's one of those things you could get away with because the logic of it will have to be fully consistent, and the whole point is that it have a price to be paid, which is let's straight up absorb somebody's life, right? Like, yeah, holy shit, that kind of weird, right? Like, let's take this man's
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Like, what happened
right,
to the man? So the man loses his memories of that period. What going on? Like,
yeah,
he
and
just lose his life.
yeah, and I actually dug Maxwell Lord's strength and weakness, where he
Right,
has to keep making wishes or be around people who makes wishes so he could become stronger. Because, well, yeah, also a little slight spoiler, he becomes the Dream Stone himself. He wishes
right, right,
himself to be the stoner. So I dug that, right? I dug how physically he starts so weird out, and then it's like, oh, I just need to keep doing this stuff.
right.
And the more he does it, the more, well, more over the top and theatrical he becomes. Unfortunately, but think again too in terms of the world that they paint here with the show.
Right.
Which brings me to tone. So yeah, right after the stellar intro at Themyscira now, we get this pure cheesy unadulterated
So
cheesy
yeah, it feel
80s
like some
throwback vibe.
yeah, it feel like something out of Superman 3 Drill.
It's silly, but
Yeah.
deep down inside, it's all intentional. They're going back to, well, 80s Superman films, right? But not so much Superman 2, but more Superman 3, right? Where, the character gets flung over. It's like, whoa, boom, and it's
Yeah.
all funny, and like, yeah, go Wonder Woman, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And at first I was like, all right, it's a lot put in at first, given like what we got in the first film, which wasn't dark and brooded, but it has this dark undertone to it. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
serious when it needed to be. But here it was like, okay, we're gonna do the light-hearted thing, fine. I mean, Hans Zimmer score early on kind of emphasized that, okay, cool. But all right, we do the 80s thing. Okay, so if this is what they're going for, all right, it'll take a while for it to get to, but okay. But I felt though just totally the show was just all over the place. But it couldn't even commit to its 80s-ness. You know what I mean? Like it could have just stuck to
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Just be a little bit more lighthearted at times. But when they brought in when they bring in the well, when Cheetah, or I should say when we see the metamorphosis of Cheetah, things get pretty dark. You know what I mean? And when you see Maxwell Lord to the evil, things get pretty dark as well. You know what I mean? And then when they
Right.
bring the whole world-ending threat now. Yeah, that's when things get really serious. And I felt like in the third act, especially near the end, though, they were kind of going for this, hopeful vibe, like, you must do this or else the world will be doomed. And it just came off so goddamn corny, Trent.
Yeah.
And it just takes itself so seriously, but like,
Yeah. I
what?
so
What
I,
is
I didn't
this?
I didn't I didn't mind it. Like I get what you're trying to go for.
Me too, but
Um
they just like hammer it. It's like they hammer
yeah.
it into your skull so much. Like I don't know if I'm supposed to cry. I don't know if I'm supposed to bite my
Yeah.
nails and hope for the best, or just kind of watch characters just be as over the top and theatrical as they can. And you know what I mean? It's a lot. You know what I mean? Like people had their issues with the climax of the first movie, boy. But
Right.
I would go with that any day than what we got here. To be honest, but it was just too much. But if the tone was consistent, I could have let that slide. If they're going for, that 80s heart, that 80s charm, okay. But you want to kind of blend it back to the current dark tone that we get with our average superhero film. It just doesn't work at all. So
Right.
yeah, really the tone is a major issue.
Yeah, as I said, as I say, if you're into the tone, they're not bad because it has a lot of good moments. But the edit is a mess. They have a lot of scenes that clearly felt like reshoots, and you're not sure what they were trying to go for with other scenes. There is one scene that is staggeringly tone deaf, given Wonder Woman's real world chicanery. Right? Okay, so Gal Gadot has one very controversial thing about her is that she's a citizen of Israel,
Yes.
and from what I understand, have a couple opinions about Palestine. Let's say the
Ah
least.
yes. I know you're
That is a
talking
whole
about.
Right, and so they have this whole scene in where it's supposed to be Egypt or something like that. And it's like, what?
It's Egypt. It's Egypt. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, this what is supposed to mean in terms of, and especially in the 80s, it's like, would they have a wall?
Yeah. Like
What?
I was hearing people kind of compare that to stuff like war games, where somebody would start some kind of war that will grow big, and it
Yeah,
might
but it's a
be
little.
nuclear war
It
basically.
yeah, no, but
That's what people believe.
the whole what it like I don't know. It just come across like something to try to clean her up or make her look good. It was weird. Like why this scene in here and why need to be here? It was a little off. Like it was strange to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'll get back to that scene in a bit, right? But
right,
in terms of pacing, boy, this is another issue I had with this way. So literally after that ETC that I mentioned before, well, the opening where you see Wonder Woman doing her thing, right, in the shopping mall, right? You literally had to wait about a whole half hour, 45 minutes before you even see Wonder Woman again in the film.
right. That's true.
Everything else is just padding. It's just all these drawn out moments, seeing characters change and become dark and whatnot. And I'm gonna say some kind of controversial here, but I'll be honest. If I could, once again, this is the example. This is the problem with many a superhero sequel where they try to incorporate two villains. If it were up to me, Jen, I had to pick one to be in this film. Easily Max Lord, boy. I have no
Yeah,
issue with Kristen Wiig as an actress and whatnot, but Cheetah as a whole didn't need to be in this show. Boy. I get what they were going for at first,
right, right,
but because they had to juggle that with Maxwell's issues, and then with Diana's issues, and then when Steve comes in, and they just keep doing this thing, and they're like, all right, it's a sequel, it's a superhero show. Come on, pick it up, come on. And
right,
to Patty Jenkins' credit, I'm not saying that, okay, because it's a sequel and because it's a superhero movie, there must be non-stop action from start to end. No, no, no. You can have your quiet moments. You can have your moments of character development, right? But when it
right,
feels sluggish and when you're there like wondering, okay, how much longer again before we even see another action sequence? As
right,
literally when they go to Egypt, that's when you see the next action sequence. There's a
right.
moment involving Steve flying a jet, and I thought it was going to go somewhere. They kind of shoehorn. Sorry, I had to see it shoehorn the whole invisible jet thing into that.
Okay,
And I
so
was like, oh, okay, well,
I actually thought that was kind of
all
clever.
right, okay,
I was actually
yeah.
thought that was kind of clever to be frank
But it
because
kind of
like oh
came out of nowhere to him.
right,
To
but I
me,
actually thought that was
they could
kind
have
of
set
clever
that
because I
up.
thought
They could have
well
set up a lot better, in my opinion.
exactly. Because what I thought they were gonna do is that oh she would be flying multiple jets and then thing now. But here's the problem. Another big problem is that we see her using powers that we didn't see her using in Batman v Superman and Justice League. And that is the whole 1984 shenanigans. That was another clumsy kind of thing too. Now. Well,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, tone
Well.
wise,
I'm gonna get to
yeah,
I'll get to my ratings in a little bit, right? But
right,
yeah. As for the little Egypt action chase scene sequence, it was decent for what it is, though. But
right,
I mean,
right.
elephant in the room, and you see it twice in the film. What is up with those shots of Gal running, though? Like literally, it
Yeah,
looks
some
like
of the stuff
she
look
is
weird.
like literally like her feet is like about an inch
Yeah,
above the pavement, so
yeah.
it looks like she's just running on
I don't know,
air.
like they can't, like I don't know what it is, but they can't get characters running fast in these movies. Like especially you got to
Why
remember
like
when
with
Flash.
Flash, way
Yeah, that
with Justice
nonsense.
League,
Yeah,
and like we doing this
yeah,
again.
it didn't
Even
work.
right now to the medium shot of her running almost gazelle like see a shot when she moving her arms, so I'm like, this
Yeah,
looks
looking bad.
awkward, dude.
They're
Like what
looking
is
weird. They look
this?
weird. Yeah,
And they do it again with a really integral scene. And about that integral scene, I'm not gonna spoil what happens, right? But it's a really, really powerful moment. Yes, Gal is a great
right.
actress for what it is. She has great screen presence and whatnot. But they could have do another take for that, boy. It just
Yeah,
came off painfully clumsy. Because
yeah,
they haven't been emotional and crying, and I wanted to feel it. But I was just
yeah.
like, no, no.
No,
Like
I get
this
what they're
is
trying to go
sappy.
for because
This is
no
this
again
but
I get what they're
tone.
too. Trying to
Tone
go
is the
for.
reason. Tone is the reason, right?
Tone, right?
Yeah.
And
If
it's
they
as I
kept the
said,
tone, I would understand. But
uh,
here it just felt so sappy, and I'm like,
yeah,
what?
it's the Donna Superman stuff, right? Because that scene felt a lot like when Superman was in the clouds and the father was talking. Is that it just feel like I get
Yeah,
what he
yeah.
was trying to go for. And so Patty Jenkins just really tried to just harken back to an old type of film, but to me it was one of those flaws and all type things, and it's like nah, you can't do that now and get away with it. It don't work. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so generic, Trent. But I do like the payoff where, well, one woman reveals another power of hers, and
Right.
in the context of it, like, all right, this works, this works, and
Yeah.
yes, it does incorporate that shot where you saw with her using the lasso to pretty
Right.
much rope, a lightning bolt and whatnot. I felt they
Yeah.
could have used that a little bit more. Not the lightning, but just her being able to move about in the air like that, right? So, last things last, well, I think couple. Cheetah, boy.
Yeah. She don't know.
How she becomes cheetah, why she becomes cheetah, and then how and why she becomes cheetah just did not work for me at all. Like
Yeah.
it just felt literally like, oh yeah, right, she's in the movie, so we have to
Yeah.
get her to fight Wonder Woman, and now
Right.
she's so pissed off that she wishes that she becomes literally an apex predator, and now she becomes ta-da, cheetah. And
Right.
sorry to say though, a majority of the fight is spoiled in the trailer. Like I saw it, it was kind of cool, but the payoff just didn't work for me. And when they left the character off, it was just like, okay, this is what they're gonna do with this great, powerful message, that you want to let the world know. So what about she? Like,
Yeah.
what happened to her in the end? I don't know. You just kind of leave it at that. But I mean, I don't want to come off like real cynical or whatnot. Like, I get the message you're trying to see. The overall the show trying to be this optimistic take on the whole dark superhero genre stuff, right? Which Patty was trying to do in the first film. Well, try and succeed basically, right? But here, because they're going for the 80s tone and they just couldn't stick to it, by this made some of those moments just feel so saccharine, by so corny. But I think we should mention the mid credit finale, mid credit scene, the one
Yeah.
where I would say
Right.
some people went nuts. For me, I saw
Yeah.
it,
It's
and
fine.
while I could talk about, but oh, they really set this up properly. I thought this character was quote, XXXXX, and now
Right.
they see this character, you know, is here, and all of a sudden, what they trying to tell me? But here, for me, I don't know if it's here with you, Ricardo. I just felt like, okay, this is just for the fans. This is for the diehard Wonder
Right.
Woman fans. I have no quarrel with it though. It's
Yeah.
just the
It's
setup could have been a little better, a little bit better in my opinion. It just kind of came off like, oh hey, we really cool is if we bring this character in and let that character be played by you know who. But yeah,
right.
any thoughts on that mid credit scene?
Yes, it's a fine scene. I didn't really have an issue. I didn't think about it. I was like, okay. I got the only thing they mentioned, she was the holder of the armor. So I was like, were they going to do that later? Because it implied that because we thought she died now. She died defending us. And then, okay, look, she alive again. All right, cool. That's it. All right.
Yeah, well that's the thing. Like you see she dead
And
and
it's,
all of a sudden it's like,
you're
oh
right.
well.
And
Like
it's who playing, and it's who playing her. So it's like, all right,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
moving on.
clearly for the fans. Clearly for the fans, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, but yeah, as a whole, boy, sorry to see this was kind of a letdown for me. Not just because it was a sequel, but because it was a one woman movie. And like right now, not gonna lie, Wonder Woman is the only DCEU film that I actually own on Blu-ray, right? Because it just like even though it wasn't perfect, right? It just did so much as far as kind of changing the game as far as superhero shows go. That I thought that here we would have just gotten more of that, but just in a different time. And what we just get was just, oh, I'm gonna try to do Richard Donner's Superman, but end up
Right.
getting Lester's Superman 3 instead. We're gonna try to be lighthearted, but it's a PG-13 film, so we have to be darker times, and we're gonna have Cheetah because we need to have Cheetah in this film, even though really when you think about it, she really should not be in the film at all. There was no need for her. I'm gonna have Maxwell Lord be this different villain because you've never seen a villain like this before, but through the power of some sort of optimistic message of hope and peace. You know what I mean? He's redeemed and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like, ugh, trying to
Yeah.
be 80s, but just not with the mindset. In my opinion, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're going for it, but you couldn't stick to it. So, like you, I agree, it's not the worst show ever, but I wouldn't say it's the worst thing I've seen all year.
Yeah,
But it was a letdown.
it's not as bad as I mean I say Leicester, but it's not as bad as Superman 3.
No, no, no.
I kind of put it in the camp of Iron Man 2, kind of a little better than that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Right.
just really would just I don't know. I just kind of came out of it like y'all struck gold 3 years ago with the first
Yeah,
film, Dread. So I
yeah,
don't know what went on with this. The inconsistencies involved, but they're still good at it. And I would say, like I said earlier, if you want to see it on big screen, go right on ahead. But if I were you personally, I would have watched this at home. But if you could get the chance at this, right?
yeah,
So rated wise. Decent to a strong 2.5 out of 5, man. See it if you really have to.
yeah,
Really,
yeah,
honestly, it just could have been better. I don't know if we're gonna get a part 3. Right now, Gal Gadot is kind of, right now she's kind of neither here or there about it. But
Right.
if we do get a part three, yeah, here's hoping that it does kind of just stick to its guns and just give us the
Right.
goods. So
Right. Right.
yeah, last was Rita on WWE 84.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I find the hate for it a little too much. People kind of overstating the badness of the film, but it really doesn't gel together. A lot of the plot lines, it just doesn't come together or gel together particularly well. And then the big emotional beats just don't land. That is the main problem. And then the length. Ooh,
Yeah, 2.5
uh,
hours. No
that is a bit
need for it to
much.
be this long,
Yeah,
though. And
that is a
just
bit much.
pardon,
Uh,
boy, pardon,
yeah. Like all of it served its purpose, and I get why the film the way it was, but yeah, it felt like a lot of reshoots and after the fact stuff. Yeah, it doesn't come together the way it could have. I'm gonna give it a merciful 5 out of 10. It should get lower, but it tonally I can imagine somebody enjoying this. Like I can imagine people enjoying it. It's not like something that is a complete shit show and thing. But at the same time, I could see people dunking on it and thing. I hope it's not the
yeah.
next, internet thing that people gonna have a meltdown on. I just,
Oh, okay. Nah, I
let's chill
don't. I
out.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, let's chill out.
Um,
Let's chill
but
out. Right.
but you're right. I think that if you are, I would say if you are a die-hard fan of Wonder Woman as a whole, like if you just love everything about the character, not I mean in a perverted way, of course, but
Right,
just if
right,
you
right.
love everything about the character, especially if you love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, yeah, you will enjoy this movie for what it is.
Yeah.
But for everybody else who just want a sequel to just be bigger and better than the first one, eh, this was a letdown. Sorry.
Yeah.